Asante Samuel, he never once stated, I'm better than Deion Sanders. His main argument is, his main statement is like, how do you guys automatically give it to Deion?
Okay.
What are you basing this off of? It can't be stats because I have better stats.
Gotcha.
And Shannon refuses to give him to even respond to that. He's just saying, listen, you're nowhere near it. You're nowhere near it. But Asante is saying, but what are you basing it off of?
Yeah, no. It's interesting. I as an exercise of logic, I think Asante Samuels is better than Shannon at this point. Shannon Sharpe, again, I've criticized this guy before.
Mm-hmm.
He's out of his depth. He's okay playing the clown and telling a story, but he's not a bright guy. He's not a special guy.
Ooh, hot take. You got the hook.
It just is what it is.
Asante Samuel responded to something initially that Shannon Sharpe and Ocho was talking about on their podcast.
This is Asante Samuel who's retired, not the son who plays for
No, not Junior. Okay. Yeah, so Asante Samuel back in the day, Patriots and a couple other teams as well.
Played for the Birds.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
And basically he's saying that, how do you automatically give Deion Sanders the title for greatest cornerback of all time? And that's basically where the beef started. And Shannon Sharpe is like, you're nowhere near the ram of Deion Sanders. So I don't even understand how this is a thing. And then he brought out his Hall of Fame thing. His Hall of Fame that this is why I have the credentials to say that and all this and that. And so this is Asante Samuel's response right here.
I'm from Lauderdale. I don't know where everybody else from, but I'm from Lauderdale. We don't get down like that. Y'all think I'm just supposed to sit here and believe that Deion Sanders, a.k.a. Primetime, is the greatest corner to ever live, and nobody shows proof of anything in the past, in the history, his stats. You could show some highlights of what he did, and it looks pretty and whatnot. Yeah, I give him that. But y'all want me to believe he's the greatest player to ever live and the greatest cornerback to ever live and nobody can ever be better than him? Man, get the fuck out of here, man. This ain't about respect. This ain't about big names. I'm simply comparing best seasons. Nigga, what? The most interceptions you had in the year is 6 or 7. I had 6 or 7 interceptions in a year, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damn times. What we?
Hey, talk your shit, boy.
It goes for a little while, so I cut it a little short. But
so is his literal argument, I'm better than Deion, or simply that Deion's not necessarily the best in the history of the game?
Asante Samuel, he never once stated, I'm better than Deion Sanders. His main argument is, his main statement is like, how do you guys automatically give it to Deion?
Okay.
What are you basing this off of? It can't be stats because I have better stats.
Gotcha.
So that's what it's saying. So how can you say something like that, Shannon Sharpe, that I'm nowhere in the realm? What are you basing it off of?
Personality takes you a long way.
And Shannon refuses to give him to even respond to that. He's just saying, listen, you're nowhere near it. You're nowhere near it. But Asante is saying, but what are you basing it off of?
No. It's interesting. I mean, as an exercise of logic, I think Asante Samuels is better than Shannon at this point. Because if Shannon's personalizing the argument, he's basically assuming that you're saying you're better. But he's saying, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, look at the metrics of this and tell me why it's uncontested that he's the greatest of all time. Yeah. Might not be. Might be Revis. Might be somebody else.
That's
might
exactly
be Mel Blount in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so, from a perspective of logic, Samuels has kicked his ass and fucked his girl. It's not close.
Put it on Instagram Live, too.
I mean, for sure. And showed everybody. Shannon Sharpe, again, I've criticized this guy before. Mm-hmm. He's out of his depth. He's okay playing the clown and telling a story, but he's not a bright guy. He's not a special guy.
Ooh, hot take. You got the hook.
It just is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, what's his? What intellectual credibility does he have?
No, that's something else. He's very entertaining.
But that's
that's what I said about Prime.
But what I'm saying about him is he is continuously proven to be out of his depth when he interviews non-sports people, and kind of just gets walked over and doesn't do much in those interviews. Some of them have been engaging, but like he's He's an empty chair in those situations. And that's all he is. And then when you get to this, you're on football turf and you can't make a logical argument or a presentation. You got to basically say, you ain't better than him and we ain't having this conversation. You know what that is? That's like the argument of like a dad who knows he's wrong and wants to end an argument with his son. That's what that is. Because I'm the dad. Like, no, motherfucker, you just old.
You just old.
Man past motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, I think personality takes you, and not to take away from Deion, I think he is one of the greatest. I've argued that I don't know if he's the best corner of all time. Obviously, I think he's at least top 3, top 5. You can definitely, I think he's in that range. But I think you can make the argument, especially, the way that football is played today and how, going back to the NBA stuff and how, different eras and how, playing styles and rules were different. But and I say this about certain rappers, that get a lot of clout, guys like Lil Uzi Vert, guys like Playboi Carti, that I'm not really a big fan of their music, but the personality and the aura is there, so it will take you a long way. Same thing with Deion Prime. His personality, or Deion Sanders, his personality is otherworldly. That's Prime time, Coach Prime. He's resurrected a college football program almost purely just based off his name, and couple that with that he is an incredible athlete, and he was one of the greatest players of his time. Not even just at position, one of the greatest football players of his time, of his generation. So that is gonna you take that into consideration. You're gonna get talked about you might be the best player at your position of all time. Now again, the personality I think has a lot to do with it, because I think guys like Darrelle Revis, who was kind of quiet, doesn't really get a lot of notice. I think guys like Charles Woodson, I think he's up there, that he wasn't really a lot of talk, but he's up there as one of the best corners of all time. Even somebody like who was the guy that played for the Steelers? He played safety in the 90s. Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson.
I mean, even someone
Champ
like
Bailey.
that. Champ Bailey was nasty.
Yeah, for me, and I'll get to our guy. First of all, these are 2 Florida boys, so I appreciate that, right? They're both Deion and Asante Samuel. But for me, I've never seen a corner that was better than Darrelle Revis. And I'm a big competition guy. Mm-hmm. The names of the guys that he literally shut down, I mean, that takes a 3-second Google search.
Yeah, I don't think there's
out fucking outrageous. The names of guys he literally shut down.
There's not
outrageous.
A logical argument against him having the greatest season a cornerback has ever had.
Yeah.
Because he literally mowed down the best names in the game.
Yeah.
Mowed down multiple Hall of Famers.
Randy Moss twice in one season when he was with the Patriots.
And he followed them around like these days, this like the guy from the Broncos, he's supposed to be the best corner in the league.
Surtain.
Like he plays one side of the field. If you line up on the right side, he's not there anymore. Darrelle left side, right side, middle side, slot, where you couldn't hide from him.
Yeah.
And I'm talking Randy, Chad, Terrell Owens, fucking Andre Johnson, who was a monster, Megatron, like these guys who I literally would think like this guy's unstoppable. Randy Moss in his prime, this is a mythical creature. He's unstoppable. And then he goes on Revis Island and it's like, oh man,
it ain't the same.
it ain't the same.
Yeah.
But Deion was a great corner because he first of all, he was an athlete, right? He played all over the field, played multiple positions. He got some snaps in offense. He was a special teams guy, all of that stuff. I think that all of that stuff in the package with him, bravado, scoring touchdowns, things like I think all of that got packaged into the cornerback resume. That's what I think happened.
Well,
he's one of the best football players ever. I think that's the thing that Asante Samuel, if he wouldn't have said that, he said, how is he automatically one of the greatest football players? Just keep it cornerback because with Deion, who is undoubtedly one of the best football players ever, and you can back that up with some of the things I just stated.
Well, the other is kind of like the funky card that was like, and it was talked about at the time of his career, was that Deion basically would guard one side of the field and it would let you do all sorts of exotic coverages on the other side of the field, and then the other counterpoint to the relatively low interception rate is that nobody wanted to throw at Deion's area, which it's hard to quantify.
It is hard. It's very hard to quantify. That's going to be one of my later points.
Closely at that,
Yeah.
But
and
but
they said
again,
he wasn't a strong tackler, things like that. He didn't want to tackle.
But the not throwing at a guy, I mean, it's it's hard to quantify, but it could very well be a real thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because again, when you're a quarterback, it's like, I don't think I want to keep throwing into that there, area all the time.
Yes and no, though, because I'll tell you what. Okay, you don't want to throw it to his side, yeah, but there is a receiver out there that is cooking. He's eating. He's just eating on the other side. Again, you could not run from Darrelle Revis. Any side of the field, any guy that was cooking, he'll get on him and stop. It's like a defensive, in basketball. It's like, you know what I mean?
The other part of that, it benefits Revis as well. Like if he's tracking Moss sideline to sideline wherever he goes, and he ends up like surrendering like 2 catches for 18 yards, like what was the target rate? Like, was that on 4 targets because he was so well blanketed? We're not throwing there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
sure.
it goes all
100%.
different ways. It goes all different ways. Because sometimes you might have a 8 or 9 target game, but you have 4 pass breakups, and you're like directly breaking it down that way. Sometimes you're doing the job by not even giving a whiff that your guy's open at all. I mean, it can happen different ways. Is what I'm saying.
No, 100%. But I guess my point to that though is, what they're saying and what they have said is Deion didn't always cover the best receiver on the field.
No, that's a
and
valid
that's due
point,
to him, due to that person being on the other side of the field.
No, that's
so no matter how many about that. Now, Darrelle Revis has also said this literally on the actual podcast. My stats are lower than other cornerbacks because
people weren't throwing
it my way.
Yeah, for sure.
And again, that goes for. So it is hard. It is hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Now Samuel, so he's talking stats. Yeah, how do you compare that? I don't know.
Right.
I will say this about Asante Samuel, that because he was growing up, he was one of my favorite corners. And then when he played for the Eagles, like I watched him closely. That the reason that, and not to take away from him or anything like that, but he was a corner that liked to take chances. He would jump a lot of routes.
Yeah.
So if you do that, quarterbacks are going to look your way, might maybe catch you on a double move because they know that opportunity's there. So although he might have a lot of picks, and I do think, especially for his time, he's one of the best corners of his time, of his era.
And he has the most pick sixes.
And he'll take that thing to the house
in the playoffs. Yes.
Yeah, but part of that is part of your playing style. Like, are you going to take the risk and jump around, and hopefully you're going to guess right? So that definitely plays into it too.
Yeah,
so.
I did not know that. Look that up. Yeah, Asante Samuel's lead the league in playoffs for most pick sixes in NFL history.
Yeah.
That is a great stat. I mean, I understand that. Yeah, you're producing points and shutting down guys. But that goes to your point that he's taking a lot of chances too, though.
But my biggest point is it's very difficult to quantify cornerback play.
It just is,
because part of that job is you cover a guy so well they don't throw there, and then obviously that's going to affect your interceptions and your tackling numbers and pass breakup numbers. And then other times, like when they do challenge you, are you there to answer the challenge?
Yeah.
Do you make them pay for the rare attempt that they go?
I think the only position that is easy is the defensive end sack numbers. Other than that, everything is hard.
Well,
because even like a linebacker, like you can't quantify tackles, because if you have poor defensive tackles, then more literally physical tackles are going to come your way. And then if your defensive tackles are really fucking good, they're getting most of the run tackles. It's hard to quantify all of that shit.
Yeah.
Other than sacks.
There like some of the truly great line, like they just get to the ball. They get.
Guys ball. Two guys that come to mind: Patrick Willis and Luke Kuechly. Those guys were dissecting plays before they even called and getting to the ball, like at the line of scrimmage and getting back.
I was gonna say Ray Lewis and Derrick Brooks. But like certain linebackers, they just get to the ball.
Fred Warner nowadays. For the more Bobby Wagner for more recent times. But
but that's something you have to know. Like with Derrick Brooks, because Derrick Brooks' numbers, they wasn't like the highest. Like he wasn't first team All-Pro a lot of years because his statistical numbers weren't high. He had a dominant defensive line. Sapp and all those guys had most of the tackles.
Rondé Barber, another great.
So that's what I'm saying. It's hard to quantify. So because what if Derrick Brooks get into a fucking argument or a beef with Luke Kuechly? Luke Kuechly was kind of like the main defensive person on his team. Defensive tackles weren't all that. His stats are going to be way better.